So coming up tonight, amid growing fallout and piling lawsuits in the wake of the Larry Nassar scandal, USA Gymnastics has filed for bankruptcy. But an attorney for the victims of Nassar is slamming the organization tonight over this move. He tells us why.
USA Gymnastics is never really going to understand what truly the problem is and how to accept accountability for what they have enabled an abuser to do and the culture that they have created.
And USA Gymnastics announcing that they have filed for bankruptcy after being buried in lawsuits over the Larry Nassar sex abuse scandal. In moments, we'll be joined by the attorney representing more than 180 of Nassar's victims who are crying foul over this move by the organization. But first, Trace Gallagher with the backstory for us from our West Coast newsroom. Hi, Trace.
Hi, Martha. USA Gymnastics is currently facing 100 lawsuits representing 350 of Larry Nassar's victims. So by filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, all of that litigation is put on hold, including discovery and depositions by key figures. That will hopefully allow USA Gymnastics to consolidate the cases and settle the claims more quickly. The organization released a statement that reads in part, quoting, "We owe it to the survivors to resolve fully and finally claims based on the horrific acts of the past, and through this process seek to expedite resolution and help them move forward." The statement goes on to say that aside from an insurance policy that will cover the lawsuits, USA Gymnastics has no other significant assets to pay out claims. But the lawyer you're about to interview, who represents more than 180 of Nassar's victims, says that filing for Chapter 11 will block the victims' quote, "ongoing efforts to discover the truth about who at USA Gymnastics and the U.S. Olympic Committee knew about Nassar's criminal conduct and failed to stop it." Remember that under the guise of giving medical examinations and treatment, Dr. Nassar molested girls for years, some as young as 6, and many were or would become Olympic gymnasts. Nassar, who also worked for Michigan State University, was sentenced to 125 years in prison. Then 2 months ago, the former president and CEO of USA Gymnastics, Steve Penny, was indicted for tampering with evidence, accused of trying to silence top U.S. gymnasts as the Nassar scandal was unfolding. Olympic gymnast Michaela Maroney alleges that she was asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement as part of a financial settlement with USA Gymnastics. And while the organization is now fighting to stay in business, the U.S. Olympic Committee is in the process of revoking USA Gymnastics certification. Martha.
Trace, thank you very much. Here now with more is the lawyer that was just mentioned in Trace's report, John Manley, founder and partner of Manley Stewart Finaldi Lawyers. His firm represents 180 of the women who are suing USA Gymnastics for these egregious offenses that we have outlined in great detail here. John, welcome. Good to have you with us tonight. Were you surprised by this move of bankruptcy by USA Gymnastics?
Not really. I mean, this is the last desperate attempt of an utterly corrupt organization to hide the truth. In the case, in Allie Raisman's case, we were in the precipice of getting key depositions and key documents, and they don't want the survivors to have them. And the reason for that is simple, because they're going to be really, really awful. They don't want Congress to know, and they don't want the public to know that for the better part of 30 years, they engaged in the systemic protection of child molesters, including Larry Nassar. That's the truth. The real question here is, why is the USOC coddled this organization for years, and for the last 2.5 years, when basically all it's done is lie about its responsibility here?
So in terms of the delay tactic, as you say, and as Trace pointed out, during this process, once they declare bankruptcy, you can no longer do discovery or depositions. Why does it put a freeze on any of that?
That's correct. It does, because there's what's called an automatic stay associated with bankruptcy that's statutory, and it's a court order. So it stops everything against USA Gymnastics. And essentially, the other thing that USA Gymnastics, the other lie they've been peddling, is this going to expedite settlement? It's not. Yeah, bankruptcies don't take months; they take years.
Yeah, they want to collect, deal with them all as a group. And you represent 180 individuals. What's their reaction? Have you talked to your clients about this?
Yeah, I've spoken to a number of them. They're sad. I mean, what these women really want is to know who knew what when and for them to be held to account. You know, Michigan State's holding people accountable. USA Gymnastics is based in Indianapolis. And frankly, the Indianapolis Police Department, the Marion County Prosecutor, the FBI, they haven't even served a search warrant on USA Gymnastics offices. No one's been charged. No one's being investigated. Nothing. And, you know, there's over 400 women at this point who have stepped forward here on Nassar alone, let alone the dozens of other coaches that have been abused. Yeah. And they feel like they've been let down by law enforcement, and now the court system is being used and manipulated by USA Gymnastics to stop the information flow. It's very frustrating for them.
Well, thank you, John. And we interviewed several of them, and every one of them said the same thing, that they felt that the problem didn't stop at Larry Nassar, that it went all the way up to USA Gymnastics, and that they were appalled by what they saw as poor oversight throughout the course of their entire careers as gymnasts. They felt like nobody was looking out for them. We will continue to stay on this story. John, thank you very much for being with us tonight. Thank you, sir. So coming up next, why